What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Dawn Uncensored, a channel where I give my tips, tricks, and knowledge as I go through my self improvement journey. Today, guys, I want to get into a talk with you all about something that I've been thinking about for a very long time. As the title of the video states, delayed gratification. Why is it so important? Right? We talk about delayed gratification so much in this world, but we really don't actually talk about how important it really is. We don't break down why it's so important. We don't break down why it is such a key factor in us actually succeeding in life. So today, I'm going to actually break that down for you guys. So without further ado, let's hop into it. Number one, it builds your character, right? It builds tenacity. It builds grit. It builds accountability. It builds so many things inside of yourself, right, that tell you that to keep going, right? The pitfall that most people get into when they're going through delayed gratification is they go through something that is called the valley of despair. Look it up. But whenever you are chasing a goal, there is a certain point where if you are here and your goal is here, as you start getting closer to your goal, it's going to feel like nothing is going on. But even though it feels like nothing is going on, you are slowly and slowly getting closer and closer to your goal. Eventually, right, you reach the goal, but this entire time, it feels like nothing is happening, right? This is what we like to call the valley of despair. In the valley of despair, it feels like nothing is going your way. It feels like nothing is being handed to you. It feels like the motivation, the spark, the drive, the fun has been sapped out of everything that you are doing at the beginning of whatever task it is. I need you to understand something. The valley of despair is not the same for every single task that you are going through. If you want to get in shape, it is a lot different than if you want to start a company. The valley of despair in a person trying to get in shape is different from the person who is trying to start a company. A person who's trying to become a successful YouTuber is going to have a different one than a college student. A person who is trying to become better in their self is different from somebody who is trying to get better and better the relationship with their family, their friends, people in their life. That valley of despair is in every single task that you go through. I want you guys to remember that. No matter how many times you do it over and over again, you're going to feel like something needs to change. But do not change. Do not make the change. Do not fall into the trap so many people do when they go through this valley. So many people will start to go through the valley, and then instead of keeping on that same path, keep walking the same trail, they turn around, shoot their dreams in the head, leave it there for dead, and walk out of the valley to chase another thing, only to do it again and again and again, only to repeat the cycle. Stop repeating the cycle. Listen, the most important thing is that you go through this every single day. No matter how many times a day you feel like not doing the task, you make sure it gets done. You want to know why? Because it builds grit and tenacity in you. It builds passion inside of you. It builds things inside of you that most people do not have. It builds consistency inside of yourself. It builds consistency in regulating yourself. It builds consistency in regulating your character, habitual things. It makes sure that you regulate your thoughts, making sure that you are on track. It does so many positive things for you, but so many people are too focused on getting it instantly, getting it quick. Understand this. It does not happen quickly. It does not happen fast. It takes a long time, right? Do not beat yourself up on this stage. You are trying to become somebody new. You are trying to do something new. You are trying to become somebody better. Understand the fact that it is going to take a longer time for you to become better than the time that it is for you to be a worse person. It's easy for you to be worse because you've been worse your entire life. When you try to get better, it feels like it takes so long because you are so used to being worse that when you try to get better, it feels like nothing is going. Keep going on this path. That is how you get better. You do not get better by going backwards and going back to worse. You get better by chasing better every single day. So increase your grit and tenacity. Keep chasing the delayed gratification. Keep chasing the feeling of getting that success whenever you finish the task, even though you didn't feel like getting it done. That is delayed gratification in its nutshell. When it feels like you do not want to get something done, or when it feels like the going is getting monotonous, when it feels like you don't want to keep going, you keep going anyway, and you find fun in that. If I want to build tree trunks for legs, every single time it's leg day, I don't want to hit legs. But guess what? I'm going to be happy after the fact that I hit legs because of the fact that I did it Even though I didn't want to do it, that's what I mean. The valley of despair is different. The valley of despair for me is building this channel right now. It may feel like I'm not going anywhere, but trust me, I'm seeing the process. I keep getting better. I keep seeing the process as everything keeps moving forward. But to other people, it seems like nothing is going on. But guess what? Once I get out of this valley, I know exactly how my life is going to look. I know exactly what I'm going to be doing. I know exactly what's going to be going on. I know exactly the type of culture, the type of people, the type of tribe, the type of conquerors I have built from this channel. Do you understand? You have to understand that. Delayed gratification is different for every single task, but the traits that you get from it do not change. They build up grit, they build up tenacity, they build up character inside of yourself. Number 2, delayed gratification will help build your confidence. Listen, if you want to become a more confident person, keep chasing the task every single day that feels like it is hard. Every time you do it, you will get more confident. You want to know why? Because every single time you did it, even when you knew you did not want to do it. That is why. You got every single time. You had every single excuse in the book to keep going. You felt tired. You ate a bad lunch. You had bad sleep. But every single time you got up and you made sure that that task was non-negotiable. That task was your standard. That task was supposed to get done. It builds confidence in yourself when you go through this valley of despair and you complete every single task every single day. Imagine what the new you would look like. So many people want the new you to be a person who is confident, a person who gets things done, a person who always wants to be the top echelon. But to get to that top echelon, you need to have the resume to back up yourself. You need to have the resume of failures. You need to have the resume built up in your ego to actually make sure you are not in over your head, to make sure that you are actually where you need to be. It builds confidence when you go through these tasks and they feel like they take so long. It builds tenacity. It builds grit inside of you. It builds that steadfastness. It makes sure that you are disciplined. You are consistent in every single avenue of life that you go through. Every single avenue of life carries this valley of despair. It carries it inside of you, right? By building this confidence in yourself, by going through this valley, nobody will ever be able to touch you. Again, if we go back to yesterday's video, confidence, ego, trust in self, right? Trust in self and ego are the same thing. An egotistical person is only seen as egotistical to the outside world because they trust in themselves, right? The world is so lacking in trust of self that any person who seems like they trust themselves fully is called egotistical. That is why people are called egotists, right? So sometimes this ego can actually be used to help boost you, right? But the way you help boost your ego is by every single time you do not feel like doing the task, you get it done. It builds off that confidence. It checks it off in the box. Every single day, your confidence meter can go up and up and up and up. And guess why? Guess what you have to do every single day to build that? You have to go through that valley. You have to climb every crevice of that valley. You have to wade through the rivers. You have to endure the ice storm and the hail that comes. You have to endure the bad weather that comes with it as well. You have to weather every single storm and adapt to it. That is the only way you will survive. That is the only way you will ever be able to achieve your dreams, is going to be going through this valley, because it builds the confidence in self. It builds the confidence in your achievements. You know nobody can ever back you down of who you are or what you have done because you have gone through the valley when so little people have gone through it. Why do you think only 7% of the world actually controls the world while the other 93% stays and works for them? It's because those 7 people were so steadfast in going through this valley and building up their confidence in self and becoming better, chasing that every single day, that eventually, once they got out of the valley, everything was beautiful inside of themselves. Once they saw what they had gone through, once they had that confidence in self, once they had that confidence in everything that they did, no matter what happened, they knew that they could overcome, become better, and adapt to any new situation thrown their way. Why? Because they went through the valley. That is how you get better. That is how you become better. That is how you build more character. That's how you become the person you want to be. You have to go through the hardships, the pain, the suffering that comes from when the going gets monotonous, when the going gets same, when the going gets like this. You have to go through that, because only then, by going through that, will you ever be able to actually build yourself, to actually be able to build who you want to be, to actually be able to get to where you want to go. That is how. And the last one, it teaches you about yourself. The valley of despair has a very high mortality rate. 93% about most people, right? If we go through it, only 7% of the world has actually made it through the valley of despair, while 93% stay in that valley. Now, I'm talking about just working for people, but it varies different for most people, right? But remember, not a lot of people are doing the things that you do. If you are part of people who work out consistently 4 times a week, you are beating about probably around 90 to 95% of the world who actually take the time to work out. You are beating out a lot of people who do not take that time, right? So be confident in that fact that you are doing something that most people are not doing. But also remember that it's going to teach you things about yourself. It's going to reveal the ugly truths about yourself. It's going to reveal things about yourself you did not know. It's going to reveal it is going to reveal certain things about you, right, that you had buried in under the surface. Things that you had buried under layers and layers and layers of trying to forget. Things that you always want to make sure kept hidden. Things that you had buried in the dark. The skeletons in your closet. Going through this valley will make sure that you open the closet, look inside, and face those skeletons that you have tried so hard to keep inside of there. Understand this, right? Do not be afraid. Be welcoming to this feeling. That is how you get better. It is how you become better. It's how you become a person who has confidence. It's how you become a person who is likable. It is how you become a person who is inspiring. A person who makes sure that everybody around them is inspired by what they do, right? And you can be a bottom Joe Schmo. You don't even have to be a millionaire to do something like this. You can be inspiring to these people if you go every single day to the gym and you're fat and your coworkers watch you whittle your way down and get into shape. If your family members watch you whittle your way down and get into shape, you can inspire these people going through this valley if your mental health is absolutely fucked. If your mental health is terrible and people watch you go from being this person who was on a decline to turning your situation around and going back up, guess what? You can inspire people by going through that. But you know what else happens through that? You learn about yourself. Every single day, like I said, the valley has no end. It is in every single task that you go through, and it is responsible for everything that happens, for your building of your character. It is literally the reason why you either get better or worse. The people who get better chase that feeling every single day and trudge 3-4 miles every day through the valley. The person who gets worse turns around and walks 3-4 miles out of the valley. So ask yourself the question, are you going to be a person who builds themselves up, goes through the valley, learns about themselves, and inspires the masses, inspires their people, it builds a tribe of people around them who believe in your mission, who believe and are inspired by the words that you tell them? Or are you going to turn around every single day and walk out? Are you going to be the person who walks out every single time and takes those 3-4 miles to walk out of the valley and not get better? Ask yourself that question. Remember, the valley is in every single task that you do. It's in everything, in every part of your life. Become one with it. Conquer the valley. Once you conquer the valley once, you can conquer it 5 times. You conquer it 5 times, you can conquer it 10 times. From 10, it becomes 20. Become a conqueror and conquer your valleys. Be a conqueror.